Today, we focus on the University of Embu. We focus on the University of Embu. Remember, it is not Embu University. It is the University of Embu. To help us in this conversation as we look into the state of education, I am with the Vice Chancellor of the University of Embu, Professor Daniel Mugendi. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for finding time to join me today. First things first, before we even delve deeper into this conversation, I'm looking at you as a person. Prof, congratulations. Because you were ranked among the top 1,000 best researchers in Africa. The top 1,000 best researchers in Africa. And in Kenya, you are at position 21. And in the whole of Africa, you are at position 867. Prof, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
How did you manage to achieve that particular thing? It's not something that should be taken lightly.
Thank you very much, Ram. The position has not come overnight. I've been a researcher for many, many years now. And indeed, what you see there is an accumulation of many things that have happened. A lot of research that I've done even in the past. The papers that we've authored and co-authored. So it's something that has a track record on its own. Of course, of late now being the Vice Chancellor, I may not be able to do a lot of active research like I did in yesteryears, but I'm still active in research. Right now I have one or two projects that are ongoing that I'm undertaking still as a Vice Chancellor. I'm supervising students. I'm also writing papers. So really it's a combination of many things, but I would want to say the assessment that you've alluded to is something that is really an accumulation of what I've been doing over the many years.
And if you look into the type of researchers that we have in the country, for you at your university, 15 University of Embu researchers are ranked among the top 1,000 best researchers in Kenya. Look at the state of research in the country. Are we at par? When you look at the knowledge that is being sought for out here, do we have quality researchers? And true to your point here, University of Embu is trying to take us to the global perspective.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yes, I would say we have top-notch researchers here in the country, and even those at the University of Embu. Indeed, what we lack most of the time is resources to be able to put in place and to be able to do what we need to do. But in terms of training, we are very good researchers in this country that can compare and parallel any other researchers all over the world. And I would say that we have researchers that are top-notch. The issues are really sometimes is the funding, assessing research money on grants to be able to do what those researchers are best at doing is what is normally a challenge. Yes.
And how do you manage to go around all those challenges that pertain to research?
Of course, when you look at the funding, even here in Kenya itself, the government will need to put more research, more funds into research.
Yes.
When you look at the developed countries, you find that those countries commit a lot of their resources into research. And of course, in Kenya, I think the government has very good intentions because it's already on paper that they would want to be committing 2% of the GDP to research, which then would really take this country very far. That is what has happened in the industrialized countries, and really for us in Kenya, so to industrialize, that is what we need, because we cannot be able to develop our economy if we are not engaging in meaningful research. So funding has been an issue, And therefore, most of the researchers here in Kenya will only be able to gain access to research funds for funds that come externally or from external donors. And indeed, that's what has been happening. Like recently, one of my researchers at the university won a huge grant that is supported through the government of Germany or the Development Corporation of Germany. That is about 110 million Kenya shillings.
Wow.
So, of course, this is a research that will go a long way in helping this country a lot. But again, if we can be able to access grants of that magnitude, and if our government is also able to fund, then you realize that we can do a lot in terms of developing research and research outputs here in this country.
And you know, someone may wonder, why would we start from that particular angle? Why would we start from that particular length? Well, research is what builds the reputation that somebody holds.
Exactly.
Knowledge is what builds your reputation.
Yes.
And the University of Embu has been able to have that particular reputation built through research and knowledge. Capacity building has been put there. Now let's bring it back a bit and start with acknowledging first you did not start yesterday. This is a journey that has taken so many years. Back then, when you were still Embu Institute of Agriculture, let's talk about the beginning. Just a brief about the University of Embu that we now see today.
Okay.
A brief history of how you came to be the top-notch university of choice in the country.
Thank you very much. University of Embu is located approximately 130 kilometers northeast of Nairobi City, where we are. It's about 2 hours drive on very good all-weather road. And it's seated right on the eastern slopes of Mount Kenya.
The weather there is
very beautiful, very serene. It's a place that everyone would want to be in. So it's that's where we are located. And the university only came into being about 10 years ago, from around 2012. Before then, the place where the university occupies now was occupied by a college that was referred to as East College. That is Embu Agricultural Staff Training College. But before the Embu Agricultural Staff Training College, the initial college that was there was the Embu Institute of Agriculture that started way back in 1947 as actually an agricultural college. Then later on, after independence, it was renamed Embu Institute of Agriculture that then was training junior extension research officers. And this happened until 1990 when that stopped. And then the college then converted to East College, Embu Agricultural Staff Training College, that then was doing retouring courses or refresher courses for those employees who are civil servants, and especially those in the Ministry of Agriculture. They would go back there for a few weeks, 1 or 2 to 3 months for refresher courses. And then also doing some short-term courses, professional courses, and working with NGOs. So that is the institute that the university inherited. So university inherited that in 2012 when it was pronounced a constituent college of the University of Nairobi by the then president, His Excellency Mwai Kibaki. That was 2011. It was upgraded to a constituent college of the University of Nairobi through a legal notice under number 65 of 2011. But the university did not take off until July 2012. And then in April 2013, we admitted our first batch of students, because we didn't have any students in the college. So we admitted our first batch of students who numbered 123. And that number has grown from that time. That was 2013. Currently now, we are at 10,975 students.
Look at that growth. Look at that growth. Over 10,000 currently.
Yes.
And we started with around 100 students. Wow. And it was in 2016 that you got the charter.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I'm looking at this particular journey that you've taken as a university. What are some of those things that you look back and you say, wow, this was surely something memorable that has stuck in your head today? When you think about it, as a professor, you're like, I'm proud of myself.
Thank you. That's a very good question. I think as a university, really, it's been a memorable journey. I want to say that when the constituent college was put in place, I was appointed the pioneer principal. So I started there in 2012. I think I was one of the first employees. Then immediately the constituent college was put in place.
Yes.
And therefore I started the journey of transforming the college into a fully-fledged university. And I want to say that for the first 4 years since we started, the University of Nairobi mentored us very well, because that time we were under the mentorship of University of Nairobi, and that's why then we were able to get our charter in 4 years. In 2016, we were ready to be chartered to become a fully-fledged university. Yeah. But I want to say that I think for me, what has been most memorable is to see the transformation that the college went through to become a fully-fledged university, and where we are now. And then also seeing the way the university has transformed the face of Embu town. In fact, now if you come there, really you feel the presence of the university. I have witnessed all this, and to me, this has been a life changer for me, and I'm very, very proud of what we have been able to do and to accomplish at Embu and also at the university.
Wow. And of course, it's very important for us to note, Prof, that currently the university has 6 schools. I was so glad when I was doing my background check on the University of Embu. I was so proud to see that actually Embu County as a whole has a gem. You have a diamond within yourself. I want us to take a short break, Prof, and then we'll be back. I want us to look at the challenges faced within the education sector, and challenges that the university education sector is facing in the country, and how we've managed to beat throughout this time. All right? Okay. Let's take a short break. We'll be back in a bit. Keep it KBC. Thank you so much for sticking with us. We proceed with this conversation, and as I sip my cup of tea here, I want to ask you one question. Is education your cup of tea? I know that when you talk about matters concerning education, it is in our hearts, because many of us believe that education is a tool that can be used to empower our society. Well, we proceed with our focus on the University of Embu. If you've just joined us, my name is Aguko. I am with Professor Daniel Mugendi, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Embu. Daktari, I love how the conversation is going, Prof. And I want us to move and talk about some of the challenges that we are facing, in particular, the university education sector in the country. What are some of those things that you've managed to pick out that have been a thorn in the flesh, especially for you?
The issues that have really been a challenge as far as the university and education is concerned here in the country, especially issues to deal with the funding.
Yes.
I think for a long time now, it's a common knowledge that universities have been in the media for all sorts of things, and especially the issues of being unable to meet our financial obligations. And we've seen many universities that are not able to pay their staff properly. Others are not able to meet the obligations as far as their suppliers are concerned, to pay the statutory deductions. Some have had issues with the KERA because we are not able to pay the taxes. NSSF, NHIF, where we have SACCOs, deductions, remittances into those SACCOs, pension, remitting pension, and we have had all sorts of discussions as to what has caused this, but it's something that we've really discussed for the last 2 or so years, and the issue principally has been the underfunding from the exchequer. As you know, public universities are really government entities. They are institutions that are set up to provide services, so they have to depend on the exchequer to be able to function properly. And for the last couple of years, we have had a huge funding deficit. For a long time, we've been using what we call the differentiated unit cost, which then looks at each program and the cost of each program in the university, and then indicates what is the optimum level of funding to be able to run those programs in the university. And the government then adopted that model of funding. And when you look at it, then for what each university was supposed to get and what the government was giving us, there was a big variance. And as of now, as we speak, when you consider the last 5 years since we adopted the DUC funding, we have a funding shortfall of about 160 billion that the government ought to have given the universities, and it was not given. This is what has been causing all the challenges that the universities have been facing, because then the universities have not been able to get enough capitation to be able to do what they need to do.
But then, Prof, how do you keep things afloat? How do you manage to ensure that we have day-to-day running of university agenda?
That is now where the challenge has been, because trying to keep the university running with such a huge underfunding has been a big problem.
It's a big challenge.
It's a big challenge. And that's why then most of the universities have resorted in these survival mechanisms where they then end up paying only the net salary, and they are not remitting those other remittances where they are required, just as a way of keeping the institution afloat. But I want to say that we are very, very thankful that the government has now changed that funding model. Starting from next financial year, we are moving now into a new model that is now being discussed all over. But we believe as universities, this is really going to give us the relief that we have been looking for. Because now the government has asked us to cost the program as it is, and then we now go in and let's make sure that whichever child is assessing that program, the program is paying, the cost of the program is fully paid for. And of course, there's a combination of funding. There will be government scholarships, there will be loans, and then there will be household support.
So are you seeing the government now coming in to allocate more funding for institutions, for research, for day-to-day running of the universities such as University of Embu? Are you seeing that as something that will see the light of the day?
Yes, because already the government has already committed to give a huge increase into the funding of the universities.
All right. And
we are very, very grateful to the government of Kenya for that. And we are looking forward to next financial year then when we start implementing this new model. And we believe once we do that, then we will be able to sort out all the problems that are, and the challenges that have been affecting these universities. Yes.
Now, Prof, I'm looking at the university students admission. Over the years, it has increased, yes. And before we took that break, you mentioned that we are looking at an increase. Right now, the number is over 10,000 students. But now, let's take a look at the qualifying students number. Is it the number that you would expect to see?
I would... Yes, I would want to say that if you remember what was happening way back up to around 2016,
yes.
But around 2016, the number that was getting about C+ and above was way about 165,000.
Yes.
But you remember then that time there was hue and decline because there was a lot of cheating. And the government moved in with the resolve to try and seal all the loopholes that were leading into stealing of exams and the leakage of exams. And then you remember that number dropped from the year that followed, dropped from 165 to only those who qualified with the C+ were about 68. Mm-hmm. But then from that time, this number has been steadily growing. And right now, the ones that qualified to join university this year, that is the 2022 cohort, was 173,000.
Yeah.
But however, when you look at all the declared capacities, both in the public and private universities, the declared capacities are still higher than that. Mm-hmm. Because in the public universities, the declared capacities for first years is well over 200,000. It's about 200,000.
And now I'm looking into how the numbers have changed over the few years that you've mentioned. Now, there was this conversation in Parliament about whether we should have another qualifying exam as a prerequisite towards university entry. Do you feel it's important that even on top of the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education examinations that are done, do we need to have yet another entry examination that is a prerequisite towards joining a particular university, like the University of Embu?
I wouldn't think we need yet another national examination like KSCSE or KCPE, because I think the challenge that we've been facing and the tendency wanting to steal or to cheat in examination is because of those one-point exams. Mm-hmm. And therefore the student knows that if I don't do well in this exam, then my future is determined by how well or how badly I perform in this exam.
Yes.
So sometimes then the temptation to steal or cheat is too high. I think around the CBC is going to sort us out. Because as you know, CBC is not a one-point testing. It's something that is summative. It will trace how the student has been performing all through. And to me, really, I think once we have CBC in place, then it will not be an issue. And as you know, the way if we will be able to implement it properly the way it's supposed to be done, any student can get to the university and they can go to whatever height they want to get to, depending on their chosen path. So then national examinations like we have today then will no longer be an emphasis, because then it is how this student has been performing that will determine what they will go to the university to do. Yes.
And these will thereby have a ripple effect on the quality of education that is there in the country. Because when we have well-educated students, they will give quality services once they graduate from the university.
Exactly.
Correct?
Exactly.
Even so, there has been this conversation about the type of graduates we get. Do we have those who have actually graduated from university that have actually gotten or acquired the skills that they need once they enter into the workforce? There has been that conversation. Are our students ready to enter the corporate world? And are they qualified? Have they been heated up like gold so that they are well equipped?
Yes, thank you. That has been an ongoing debate, and the question has been: are the students or the graduates that we are releasing from our universities fully baked?
Yes.
And I would say it's a conversation, because again it depends with what programs you are looking at, which universities you are looking at, and indeed the players in the market, especially in the industries, sometimes have complained that the graduates they are getting are not ready for the job market, so they have to take some more time to train or retrain them to be able to fit in the job market situations. But what I would want to say is that depending on the curricula that are being followed in the different universities, a majority of the universities are doing their level best. But I think there has been a disconnect in that the market players, the industries, sometimes have not been part and parcel of the curricula.
All right.
So they are not involved. If, for example, we are training a HR expert in the university, and we take them through theory, they, of course, they will get a stint to go to have an attachment in one of those organizations for about 3 months. That is still not enough. I think what we are looking at is where then the players in the industry get also involved in the training, so that then it is like one continuous conveyor belt.
Exactly.
So that by the time the students are leaving the university, they are very well prepared for the job market.
Because they have been interacting with these things while they were still in school.
Exactly. But the fact that maybe that may not be happening now does not necessarily mean that we are producing half-baked graduates. It's only that sometimes the skills don't match too well. But since these are very well-trained graduates, when they get into the job market, then they are able to adjust very quickly. Maybe sometimes they go through that training for 1 or 2 or 3 months, and they are able to produce and perform very well. But we are looking at this where then we are able to work with the industries and be able to produce better graduates for the industries.
All right.
Yes.
Let's go home to Embu. You're talking about working with people. How is the University of Embu working with its community around the area where it's situated, or within Embu County?
Yes. Yeah, that's a very important question, and that then defines our existence.
Yeah.
As a university in the community.
Because people cannot recognize you.
Yes.
You're of nobody.
If, for example, you went to a neighbor there and asked them, if we close this university, or if we then that with this university, is it going to affect you?
Exactly.
What would you say? If the neighbor said it can go, we don't know what even it does, then you know you have no consequence. But I want to say that the University of Embu, we have been very deliberate in the way we do our things. We have interacted, we are purposely decided that we want to be interacting with our neighbors, with our farmers, and we have programs that are tailored to answering their challenges. And every month or 2 or so, we are having trainings involving the farmers. Sometimes we go to where they are, sometimes they come to us, and we have created that rapport where they feel that the university is a place that they go to get their solutions for their challenges that are facing them.
So you have community group trainings?
Yes, a lot of that. And remember, we are situated in a small-scale farming environment, so we must be able to be taking care of those farmers. So we are doing that to a great extent, and we have very strong collaborations between ourselves and the farmers and the environment. And indeed, when you hear them talk, they appreciate that the university is in that region.
And speaking of the region, inclusively, we also have other institutions that may look up to the University of Embu. And in particular, I'm looking at secondary education, secondary school students. How are you interacting with the secondary school students so that they can say that, you know what, when I'm done with this school, that is the university of choice?
Yeah, thank you. We also deliberate on this. For example, we have a very elaborate department that takes care of that. We normally have what we call career days, where we are able to bring very many universities into the university, very many secondary schools into the university, and we normally ask for Form 3 and Form 4. And we will invite like 100 schools, and we are with them the whole day, training them about the university, what career choices they have. They go around and appreciate what we do in the university. We also visit the schools, the secondary schools. We go from school to school, talking to them and educating them on the career opportunities. Schools also visit. Actually, this now has become very popular, and almost we are even to set a day for them to be coming. And I think every Friday we have almost two, three schools coming, visiting, and they want to come. They want to see the university. They want to be trained on career placement and things like those. So that is happening. So it's a combination of all that.
It's like mentorship.
Exactly.
And you walk with someone through these stages, so that when they get to where they want to be, they can say, you know what, this person held my hand.
Exactly.
This school held my hand.
Yeah.
Wow. And of course, these are things that lead further into job creation. All right? Because you are also dealing with farmers within Embu County.
Yes.
They can also create their own source of income through knowledge acquired by you.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
Wow, interesting. I want us to also touch on university teaching and research infrastructure. And in this particular point here, tell me about the infrastructure that you have within the University of Embu, and how is it? Paint a picture for me.
Yes, of course, I've said that we were born from a college.
Yes.
That was primarily agriculture in nature, but by the time we took over, there wasn't much that was going on. So the infrastructure that we inherited, really, other than the walls, there are a few buildings, there wasn't much in terms of equipment.
Yeah.
So what we've done is we've tried to renovate most of those structures. We have also built new ones. For example, we have built a very imposing administration block that also serves as classrooms. We are now in the process of putting a partition block, which is almost complete. That when seated, will take about 6,000 students seated at once. We are also in the process of putting up a laboratory block.
Wow.
But before we get there, what we've done is the labs that we inherited and some of the facilities we converted into labs. So we have very good research labs with very well equipped equipment and resources for carrying out research. And we have some specialized labs depending on which kinds of lecturers and researchers that we have. And therefore, as a result, we have those that you call research labs. We have then those that we call labs for the general usage, especially by the students.
But one thing that you're assuring me, Prof, is that when I come to the University of Embu, I will have what I need for me to do my my masters, my whatever I want to do.
Exactly.
Within the School of Agriculture, School of Law, School of Nursing, I have what I need.
Exactly.
Wow.
That I can assure you. And for us, we are very serious in training. We ensure that when we say we have released and graduate of this program, we know that we have done everything that it takes to ensure that this is a qualified graduate. And indeed, our students have been doing very well out there. We have been doing tracer studies, talking to the employers of our students. We've been following up. Yeah. And even where our students have gone, the employers are very happy with them.
They're proud of them.
Yes.
They say University of Embu material.
Yes.
Speaking of University of Embu, Prof, congratulations again.
Thank you.
And of course, this has bring this conversation to a close. University of Embu was ranked the best performing university and state corporation.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
It was.
Tell me about this particular ranking.
The ranking is a government ranking, as you know, whereby all the state parastatals or the state corporations are put in that performance contracting.
Yes.
And the ministries also do the same. And as you know, performance contracting is where targets are freely negotiated between you and your employer, and you sign. And that's what we have done.
You met them.
We met them, and not only did we meet them, but we exceeded, and especially in areas of our core mandate. And I want to say that the performance of the University of Embu has not just come as one thing. We have been in, like you know, because also KBC is a government parastatal, and I'm sure you also go through this.
All right.
We have been in the excellent category since 2014, 2015.
Okay.
And 2019, 2020, we were again the best performing state corporation. It's only 2020, 2021 when we were number 2. And then 2021, 2022, again, we jumped back and they took the first position as the best performing parastatal and also the best public university.
Congratulations, Prof.
Thank you.
And of course, it is on that note that we bring this conversation to a close. We are focusing on the University of Embu. That is, ladies and gentlemen, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Embu, Professor Daniel Mugendi. Prof, thank you so much for coming. I wish you the best. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Keep producing world-class standards.
Thank you.
All right. Knowledge transforms.
Thank you. That's our motto.
That's your motto.
Yes.
And let's take a short break. We'll be back with more right here on KBC Channel 1. This has been Focus on the University of Embu. My name is Aguko. This is Good Morning Kenya.